Hello, everyone. I'm Rodney Reynolds. This is May the 13th, 2023. I've got a jam-packed show for you today. I'll be discussing a whole bunch of stuff like motion sickness, build your own computer system, gaming, AI, jobs, CPU, GPU resolution, and a couple of other things as well. So the format of this show will be, we're going to go through a whole bunch of poll questions here, and all these are very, very interesting. And also, I'll be talking about a bunch of free games, Crysis, NVIDIA has this new technology, NTC, I'll be talking about that, hard drives, and Coldplay, believe it or not. So let's jump right in here with this live show. So how's everyone doing this morning? I hope everyone is good. Good. Okay, so we got chat up and running. Seems like we've got a guy who's a regular in here. I guess it's Chronometer, right? Chronometer. I guess that's how you pronounce your name, Chronometer. You've been in a lot of these live shows. Thank you for that. And thank you for subscribing and liking and sharing and all that other good stuff, which I should mention at the beginning of this show. You can show your support, by just doing that, sharing and liking, hitting the notification bell. You can also become a Patreon member if you'd like. You can give me a super thanks. You can buy a fancy, unfortunately, the motherboard tray is not removable t-shirt. There it is on the screen. If you want to pick one of those up, you can from the links down below. So yeah, I'm tired too, actually. There's a guy here in chat saying he's tired. I'm tired as well. Saturday mornings is a morning that I guess most of us try to recoup. Maybe some of us was working, overnight shift or something, and they haven't gotten to bed yet. Who knows? Everyone has different shifts, and they work at different jobs and whatnot. So let's jump right in here with the show, and I'm going to go kind of backwards in this one, and I'm going to go right up to the top. So let's start with the first one, which is this one here, and let me put this at the very top here. Can you see that? Where am I? Maybe I should go the other way. Let me go the other way. I think this works a little bit better. So anyway, you see this image here at the top? Every single week, I create an image here at the top of the screen. And this is actually created by AI incredibly. It just takes a few seconds and, it gives me a new image here every single week. I usually do some kind of a peaceful landscape thing, that looks very tranquil and whatnot. So yeah, and here at the top of the screen as well. And by the way, you can get to this particular area of my YouTube channel by going youtube.com/3dgameman, and you can go into the community area here and you'll see all these polls and whatnot. I do a poll every single day, and they are, I find, quite interesting. All kinds of great comments that are on a lot of these a lot of these polls, and some of them are more popular, of course, than others. But at the top right-hand corner, you can see where you can pick up t-shirts. You've got the Patreon page here. You've got my little tip jar there, and you've got my Twitter account and also the Steam account, which I'm not really on a whole lot, but yeah. So let's get to the first one here, and this was only posted 11 hours ago, as you can see here. Have you ever experienced motion sickness while playing a game? Now, personally myself, I have not experienced motion sickness, and this is the case here for most people, really they never experience motion sickness. Some people do, sometimes they do, but overall, most people never experience motion sickness. Now, I can see where if you had a VR set, then I can see then you would probably experience motion sickness, because that is almost just like being there, right? Whatever you're seeing in that VR headset is really, an experience where in the real world you could get motion sickness, right? So VR is pretty close to that. And of course, if you're on a roller coaster, let's say, for example, whether it's for real or not, you're going to probably experience some degree of motion sickness. I know some people have conditions and they do get motion sickness quite easily. And you do see warnings also, right, at the beginning of the games where they say things about motion sickness and other items as well in there. So definitely it's an issue, it's a concern. And I myself personally haven't really experienced too much of that, if any. I mean, sometimes you're staring at the screen too long, but I don't think that's motion sickness. That's something else. It's just you need to just look away and come back to it, right? And that's very important as well. I've talked about that in other shows, but you should be, if you're gaming on the computer for extended periods, make sure you just take a second and look away, at least look away from the screen. Of course, if you're older, it affects you more. If you're younger, it doesn't affect you so much, but that still doesn't mean if you're younger, you shouldn't do it, because you should definitely do that. And it's not only for your vision, of course, it's just for your own sensibility, right? So yeah, but the majority of people here, they never experience motion sickness. So yeah. And if you're thinking about joining chat, and by the way, I'm just looking at the chat here now, and you're a little bit intimidated or you don't want to, just join. It doesn't really matter. You can join. And I had to make this live show actually public in order for it to work for some reason. I'm not quite sure. I was going to just make it members only, but it didn't work with OBS for some reason. But that's okay. It's open to everyone, and everyone can see it, everyone can view it, and that is okay. So, and by the way, there is a limit on posting. I believe it's 20 seconds. You can post every 20 seconds. It's just a bit of a restriction in case you get some kind of a bot in here going crazy and posting all kinds of silly things. So yeah. So let's continue here on to the next one. Have you ever built your own gaming PC? Now, of course, I have, and I've done it many times. I've done videos on building, a long time ago, your own gaming PC, including a whole complete water setup. But the majority of people, and of course, you're part of the community here. So this community is all about tech and computers and computer parts and components and putting them all together and all of that. So I can understand why over 300 votes, you've got, most people say yes, they have built their own gaming PC. And that's a good thing to see, especially today. However, I can understand why you wouldn't do it today because of the costs of parts, and you can get a pre-built system these days, not for the same price as just a video card, but pretty close onto it. So why would you, spend, let's just say, $2,500, $3,000 for a video card when maybe you can get the whole system for an extra $1,000 or something? And it's all together, it's instant, you don't have to build it, you don't have to put the time into it, whatever. If you want to build your own, that's great. If you don't want to build your own, then that's cool as well. Now, the last time I did not build my own system, and the reason for that was COVID and limited supply on products, or so they said, and I didn't build the last PC that I have currently, which is a Dell Alienware. It has a 3080 video card into it, NVIDIA, and I believe the CPU is an AMD 3700X. So, I didn't do it the last time. I did not build my own computer system. There was no parts, and the parts I wanted to build the system, they weren't available. So I'm like, well, I'm building a system that I really don't want these parts in because of limited supply, and it's going to cost me more than a pre-built by a lot. I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So I didn't go in that direction this time, at least. But yeah, I figured certainly today there will be more and more people, first of all, getting away from PC gaming, but I think it's good to see that it's coming back, and maybe COVID had, a little bit to do with that. People, were confined and they were, home, and they were bored, and they got into gaming more so than ever. Now that could, we could move away from that as well, because I believe PC sales, everything's, I think sales period have gone down because of the inflation and everything else, right? It's a pretty horrific situation out there these days, unfortunately, with regards to, having extra money to buy parts, let's just say for a gaming computer system, right? You need, you need a roof over your head, and you need food first, and then everything else comes after that. So, but yeah, that's good. That's good to see. I'd love to, the next PC that I'm thinking about getting will be probably a 4080 in it, and they're still expensive, those video cards. And you want to pair, the video card with a decent CPU. This time I'll probably will go the next time, maybe an Intel CPU. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. It depends on the deal at the time, right? But we will see about that. I'll get into this CPU and GPU thing in just a little bit, because that's another poll question as well. Yeah, true enough. I mean, it probably did have something to do with, the mining boom back, when it was worth so much, and now it's gone down quite a bit. I think it will go up, to be honest, but because, digital currency is seemingly what countries are trying to push these days and move away from cash. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot. You can find a lot of video cards actually that have been used for mining online, and they're pretty reasonable. But what condition are they in? I don't know. They've been used for mining, so the life expectancy might be degraded a little bit. Yeah, I mean, that's something else. I mean, I talk about AMD and NVIDIA for video cards, but you have to remember as well, Intel is making roads when it comes to video cards and GPUs. That's a great thing to see. The more companies there are in this space, the better, because competition, first of all, is healthy, but also will drive down the consumer prices on video cards, and that would definitely be a welcome sight. If you're, by the way, looking for a video card and it's too expensive, you can't afford it, which is very understandable, because in all honesty, if you're going to get something, you might as well get something that's going to last you at least for a couple of years, maybe 4 years, right? And that's a long time. You could have 2, maybe 3 generations of video cards come out by then. I bought a 3080. That's a really good card, actually, overall. The only problem is the memory on it. There's not a lot of memory on it, but NVIDIA, and I'll talk about that in a second, might have a fix for that, which will be great. It might annihilate the VRAM worries. It's about neutral texture compression. I will get to that in just a moment. But if that's the case, then maybe you'll be able to get a little bit more life out of your video card. But I heard by the end of this year, maybe early next year, the NVIDIA 5090 series are coming. But with Intel in this space and the next iteration of Intel GPUs, I think it's something to look forward to. And hopefully they will be very affordable, because they are now. But, right now, if you're looking into AAA games and you're looking into gaming hardcore, would you want the Intel GPU for gaming? I don't know. I mean, personally myself, I wouldn't buy it, but that's just me. And drivers, that's another issue too, drivers, right? And I think that's been the crutch that Intel's had so far, but it's a new video card, and they're trying to make roads, and they're trying to, they're trying their best, to be honest, and it isn't easy. So for me, though, drivers are very important. So you would get a video card that has the most driver support across the board when it comes to, gaming. And, anything else. Maybe you're doing your video editing, right? And you can use the card as well to use it. Maybe you're also mining So, but you want to get a video card that's going to give you the best bang for the buck all across the spectrum. That's the thing. That's the key, I think, for everyone out there, right? So when you're buying something, make sure that that is in the back of your mind, because there's no point in getting something that's not going to do what you want it to do, you know, from one end of the spectrum to the other. So let's go on to the next question here. How much money do you typically spend on gaming each month? Now, you know, when I do these polls, I try to keep the question as short as possible, right? And that's a problem, because when you try to be as concise as possible, the context is kind of missing a little bit, and the question can be a little bit confusing. And this is kind of. So what did I mean here by gaming each month? Is it a gaming service? Is it your gaming hardware? Is it everything? Actually, what I meant was software, and I should have specified that here, I suppose. But that's what I'm talking about, software. How much you're spending on games or gaming every single month. Some people have a subscription, right? Some people just buy games. That's what I do. I just buy a game if it goes on special. You know, maybe it's on $10 or $15 or whatever. I just buy it. Anyway, over 250 votes here on this one, and the majority, I don't know if this is correct or not, but the majority are spending nothing on gaming each month. So you know what that means, right? Anyway, the next to the nothing is $10 plus per month. So you're looking at, you know, $120 a year. You know, next to that, it's $30, and that's kind of what I figured. I figured the majority would be actually $10. And when I was doing this poll, I started out with 10, then 30, and 50, and 70, and then I figured, is that it? No, I'll put in nothing, just to have it there. And apparently, the majority of people spend nothing on gaming. Like I said, the math on that doesn't really work so much. But yeah, for me, you know, I'm going to cover this after I get through all these poll videos, but there's a bunch of games that, actually there's one game that's free on Epic right now, and there's Ubisoft also has a super deal on right now. But that's what I usually do. I usually wait for the deals to come up, and also, you know, it's a good idea, because if you wait for deals to come up, usually the games are over a year old, and usually they have patches, and usually they're working properly, because most of the games that are released these days, and even the AAA games, they have so many problems all across the board that really it's a deterrent to buy a brand new game, because more than likely, you're going to have some problems running it. It's probably going to crash on you. Maybe, you know, the video settings, something is not quite where it should be. Like, for example, you can only play it at 30 frames per second or something. So, I mean, what is the incentive to buy a brand new game these days? I don't really know myself. I mean, I can see the urge to want to have something new to play, I suppose, but there's so many games out there. How do you not have something to play? The problem that I find for myself is that I just don't have the time to devote to every single game that's kind of out there and every single game that's coming up. It's difficult. I mean, I'm playing Red Dead Redemption 2, trying my best to get through that game, and loving the game, by the way. It's a fantastic game. But yeah, trying to get through that, and then, you know, trying to also get through a couple other games that I have on the back burner. And I just got back into actually Breakpoint, this Ghost Recon Breakpoint. That's a brilliant tactical shooter game, actually. It's one of those gems that has been forgotten by many, but it is an incredible tactical shooter game. And the co-op in that game, Ghost Recon Breakpoint, is exceptional. It's wonderful. And you can set up Breakpoint now to be very immersive and not so arcadish. And that's what I really like about the game. You know, shortly after it came out, they included an immersive mode, and that's a very difficult mode. So if you want a stealth tactical shooter where you can fly just about every, you know, helicopter and everything else that's in the game, you can drive almost all the vehicles. You know, there's so many things in that game. It's incredible. So, and that game is next to nothing right now. That's just a gem, in my opinion. And the graphics also are just brilliant in that game as well. And there's so many settings that you can change for gameplay and, well, everything, video and, you know, all the rest of it. So, yeah, but yeah, the majority of people spend nothing per month on gaming. Yeah, I have a backlog, like, I mean, a real backlog of games that I want to get through, but I'm probably never going to get through them. And some of them I've just abandoned. I'm trying to get through, and I've been at this for, I don't know how long it's been now. I've been trying to get through the Guardian of the Galaxy. That's an excellent game, by the way. And I just, yeah, it's been on the back burner for me, and I haven't been able to get through it. I also want to get through The Witcher 3, Wild Hunt. I put around 20 hours in that game and kind of gave up on it because I wanted to wait for, you know, the refresh to come. It's here. It's been patched a few times since then. I guess eventually I'll get to it. I don't know. And then Witcher 4 is coming out maybe in the next year or two. So, you know, man, then you've got Breakpoint. I guess maybe they're going to have another, you know, one in that series too. So if you don't soon catch up, you're going to completely fall behind. and then, well, you know, and if you can believe it or not, I haven't made my way through Doom Eternal, and that's supposed to be an amazing game. I haven't made my way through that yet. Now, that's a completely different thing. Like, that's completely on the flip side of Red Dead Redemption 2, or for that matter, Breakpoint. Because actually, Breakpoint is a tactical shooter game, but with tactical shooters, you can, you know, you have to plan when you go in, right? And you have a drone also in that game, so you can kind of take I usually, what I do with Breakpoint is I take a high point, try to get in, surveil the area, you know, find out where all the enemies are, then go in, usually on some corner that's weak, go in, take out the enemies, complete the mission, and exit, you know, and that can be rather, you know, rather peaceful in a way, because you can take it slow, you can take it fast, you know, it's one of those things. And Red Dead Redemption 2 is also very much like that. Doom is not like that, but, you know, some days you want to play something crazy, and some other days you just want to kind of chill and get through the game, you know, slowly, right? All right, so let's go on to the next question here. AI could replace 80% of the jobs in the coming years. Now, this is what a lot of news articles are kind of saying, right? You see a lot of headlines like, you know, 80% of jobs are going to be lost in the coming years. I think AI is a good thing and a bad thing. So it can be used obviously for good and for evil and everything in the middle. I don't know the overall consequences, to be honest, of AI, because I can see where it can replace a lot of white-collar jobs easily. You know, customer service, low-level lawyers, low-level accountants, low-level paralegals. I mean, it really can easily replace those. I mean, you can go into AI and ask it and tell it to act like, for example, a healthcare professional, and you can get all kinds of answers and get them instantly. You can create images, you can create videos, you can create code, you can do all this. So you don't need to outsource this for yourself, or if you're a company, you can do all of this with AI. So It's definitely going to have an impact. It definitely is. Will it take away 80% of the jobs? Probably not. God help us if it does, because that's not going to be a good thing. And even if robots and AI take over and we can just lull about and relax and chill, that sounds good for maybe a few weeks or a few months, but you will get bored. And then once you get bored, well, you know what happens after that, right? Anxiety sets in, probably depression sets in. It's not a good thing to be idle. It isn't, in my opinion, at least. So the majority of people here, for the question of AI could replace 80% of the jobs in the coming years, the majority say maybe, but it won't replace that many. Yeah, it's anyone's guess. So, I mean, I'm amazed. I'm taken back by how powerful it is. And anyone can sign up and use it, you know. It's just, you know, you can summarize a book, you know, in a paragraph. You can write a novel. You can write a book. You can, I mean, how about if you're a student, whether you be in, you know, high school or university, you know, teacher asks you to write, you know, some kind of paper on this. You can use AI to get at least to formulate the paper. But that's not you doing research. That's just you becoming a prompt engineer, right? You're just prompting it to just do this. It's not you actually doing the research. It's not you going through a process of learning to reach an end point where you've learned something. Because when you type in something and it comes back with a result, then, okay, that's great. You know, I suppose you can learn from what it spit out, but it's a different process of learning. It's completely different. And I guess that's where it's going. I mean, there's no stopping it, right? I mean, that's where we're at right now. And yeah, it's, yeah. So in the chat here, me too, it's actually quite shocking what AI can do. I mean, it blows me away. It completely blows me. I remember the first time I logged in and typed in something, I was scared, actually. I felt, I don't know, I felt this weirdness come over me. And I don't know, it just, a shiver almost, you know, it's like, wow. But then I thought about, oh boy, what are the ramifications from this stuff? You know, and GPT, I haven't tried actually GPT-4. You know, I've tried GPT-3 and that's just crazy. But when you can draw upon all the data and information, and there's a lot of it these days, and there will be more of it, obviously. When you can draw upon all the information from, you know, everything and everyone, pretty much, on the internet and not on the internet, because you could use, you know, AI for your own company and internal documents and all the rest of it, right? So when you can draw upon all of that stuff in an instant, I mean, it's an alien intelligence. I mean, it truly is. It's revolutionary. I don't know how else to put it. It's completely revolutionary. But anyone who is in denial that AI is not going to replace jobs, well, you're in denial. It's going to replace a lot of jobs. And I don't know if all of these companies these days, the big ones, you know, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, and all the rest of them are laying off so many people because of the economy, or it's because of AI. And they're able to use AI now to, well, replace, you know, their workers. Remember, AI and robots with AI are not going to complain. They don't need benefits. They're completely different than human workers entirely. Now, you do need some essential workers, I think, still to, actually get up, go out physically, go to work, and come home. You're still going to need that. You need someone to do your plumbing, your electrical, construction, right, and all the rest of it. Maybe that will be replaced in 10, 15 years from now. I don't know. I hope not. And I think what will happen is probably we'll transition to that. Maybe, become like Skynet kind of, and then we'll realize, hopefully we realize before it's too late, that we need to stop this and rectify it and get people back to work, get people back into the system, get people feeling like they can contribute to society and all the rest of it, because that's a good thing. And it gives people, a motivation and, and some kind of, if all you're doing all day is, doing whatever you want and you never work and, it like I said before, it sounds good, but it's going to get old real fast. So let's move on to the next one here. Why do I have 2 questions here in one day? Oh, I think I forgot to post a couple. That's why. Anyway, the next question here is, are you really that good of a gamer? This is a funny question, right? Because maybe you think you are an excellent gamer and you're not really. And I guess it depends on what level you are, because if you're playing with, say, 10 friends, and that's a small group, right? And you're the top 2 or top 3, well, that's not a true representation of if you're playing on a multiplayer server somewhere where you've got, people who are from around the world and they're just pros and they can just take you out like this. There isn't any way in the world that I could go on any kind of server these days and try and compete with people. There's no way. I mean, it will be pointless. And I think that's why some don't get into multiplayer online, because you go in, you're instantly dead, and it takes hundreds of hours to build it up. So you're to a point where everything is perfect. And, what's the point, right, of going on a server and just getting completely annihilated instantly every single time? Anyway, let's go back to the question. Are you really that good of a gamer? The majority of people say, yeah, I do all right. And next to that, I'm so-so. So I think most people realize that they're okay, they're pretty good overall. So yeah, I think I'm okay overall. I mean, I've been playing for many, many years. However, I've never done it professionally, and I would never want to do it professionally, because what I find with gaming is I have a threshold where I get to, and after maybe a few hours, I have to take a break. I have to get away from it because it just seems to get into my brain somehow where it's not really that good. So yeah, I could never do it professionally, but some professionals out there are just incredible. I mean, I've watched some videos of pros, on these servers, and they are, I suppose they're not hacking. I don't know, but maybe some of them are, but incredible, like just incredible. Some of them have like almost 1,000 kills to nothing. So they've never been taken down. So it's just mind boggling. I mean, they live and breathe games, literally. And they're fast-paced games too, right? So there's so much dopamine being released. It's just, than these people, it's not even funny. All right, so go on to the next one here. You have 2 choices only, but you can only choose one. I should have put that in there. You can upgrade your CPU, or you can upgrade your GPU. Most people say GPU, and that's where I would fall as well. I would upgrade my GPU on my system, leave everything else the same, provided everything else is fast, and you don't want to have a bottleneck in the system. But I would as well upgrade my video card before I would upgrade my CPU. When I upgrade my CPU, I am doing a complete refresh. I'm doing a whole system upgrade, everything from scratch. So when you buy a system, make sure that you don't have too many bottlenecks in your system. Actually, don't have a bottleneck in your system. Don't buy a fast computer system, a slow drive, or, a fast computer system and a slow video card. Try not to. Try to get the best overall system performance and try to have it such that you're not going to have much of a bottleneck on anything, whether it be, the memory, the motherboard, the CPU, the GPU, whatever it is. Try and do some research as well when you're doing this to avoid this bottleneck, this slow component in your system that could kill it. You could buy a great video card, right? But maybe you don't have enough system memory, or maybe the memory you have is too slow, or maybe your drive is terribly slow. So, don't go all out and spend a whole bunch of money on an expensive video card, and then the rest of the system is not going to be able to keep up. That's pointless. Don't do that. Save your money and wait to get something that is all across the board going to be just polished, perfect, or as perfect as you can possibly get. Yeah, so that's interesting. A lot of people voted on this one, almost 350 votes on this one, and the majority of people say they're going to upgrade their video card before they would upgrade their CPU. All right, so this is the last question here. What is your preferred resolution for gaming? So what is your preferred resolution for gaming? 1080p, 1440p, 4K, or other? The majority of people, this is very close though, the majority of people say 1440p, and just down from that is 1080p. Now, why is this? Why in 2023 aren't most people at 4K? Well, there's a whole pile of reasons for this. Frames per second is one of them, and hertz. All right, so maybe you have a 1440p at 75 hertz. You want to have 75 frames per second at least, and you have, a mediocre video card, maybe like me, 3080. You want to have this screen size, push it at least a consistent 75 frames per second, and it works. But if you had a 4K display, then that introduces a whole other problem, right? Because, well, everything, you need a much, stronger, more powerful video card to push to a 4K display. And also, you want to go native. You want to stay at that native display resolution. So if you have a 4K, don't put it down to 1440p. You need to keep it at the native resolution. So keep that in mind. If you're out there hunting for a display, don't go with some kind of 4K gaming display unless you have an excellent video card to back it up. That would be my recommendation. And I think that most people realize this, and this is why people are at 1440p. I think myself personally, 1440p right now is probably the best overall resolution you can get for a display. That's what I have personally, for the reasons I just mentioned. If you're going with a 4090 or the new 50 series or 5000 series in video cards that will be released maybe at the end of this year, beginning of next year, then you can think about going 4K and staying at that 4K native resolution. Right now, the other thing to consider as well, if you're using your display for something other than gaming, 4K displays, everything on that 4K display, well, you're going to have a lot of real estate and things are going to be very tiny. You're going to have to adjust the fonts and all the rest of it. So also keep that in mind. 4K displays are great, super crystal clear, but you'll need an excellent video card and you might need some binoculars to see what's going on the screen if you're using it for something other than gaming. So keep that in mind. All right, so let's go on to the next part of the show here. And I will scroll back up here to the top. All right, so how are we doing here? It looks like, buddy, it's just you and me here today. I don't know what's going on. I guess people are out and about and they haven't woke up yet. Oh, you're on 4K? There are compromises with 4K, isn't there? Yeah. I bought a 4K gaming laptop, a while back. And, it was great and nice and super resolution. But, man, don't buy a laptop that has a 4K display. Honestly, it's just... it's... Well, maybe if you're just doing it if you're just using it for gaming, sure. But if you're using it for anything else, that's too small. The fonts are just crazy. All right, so we're going to get through, I've got another around 15 minutes left here, so that should be enough time to get through the rest of this. And I will be chopping up this video as well. And if you just tuned in, or if you've missed it, or if you can't make these, that's fine. I will chop them up and push them out throughout the week in shorts. I put these shorts on my YouTube channel, and I put these shorts on TikTok. So, yeah. See, someone's just joining us here now, and I've got 15 minutes left. But hello you're from Houston, Texas. Some crazy stuff going on down in Texas these days, eh? Some crazy stuff going on everywhere in the world these days, though. So, okay, so let's get on to the next part of the show here. Free games. So every week, you probably know this, and you probably check it out yourself. Maybe you have notifications turned on. You probably should, if you don't. This week, it's something that I'm not interested in. I'm not interested in playing The Sims 4. Apparently this is the bundle. So it's free. All of this stuff is free if you're interested in playing The Sims 4. I mean, this would have cost, I guess, a fair amount of money back in the day. This is the problem also with free games, right? You see these free games and you go, well, snap, I just bought this game for like $20, $30, and now it's free. You win, you lose, it's part of life. But I'm interested to know, though, what's coming up here in a few days. There's a mystery game. I think one of the best, the best free game that I ever grabbed just by accident. And some of these free games, you only have a few hours to get them. Cyberpunk 2077, I got for free on GOG. And now this game, it went down in price to next to nothing, like $15. It went up, and now I think it's at $35 or $40 because it's very popular. The latest patches have made the game stellar, But I've noticed that games are, They've gone up a little bit in price. Well, everything's gone up a little bit in price. So I download all the free games. If I see a free game come up, I just grab it. I don't know. Maybe in a couple of years, I'll be wanting to play something different, completely different. Maybe I'll be playing The Sims in a few years. I don't know. Maybe not. So yeah, grab them all. Why not? They're free. Just grab them. And, if you have 1,000 games in your library, who cares? Just, there's a search feature. You can search through it and find the game that you want to install. Also, the time. Time is the issue, right? I mean, Sims, this could be a game you play. Well, this could be the only game you play. Just like Red Dead Redemption 2. I think you could play this game probably for another 10 years. Easy. I'm not exaggerating. You can put 1,000, 2,000, 6,000 hours into a game like that. Oh, and speaking of free games, Ubisoft, they have some amazing deals on right now. Make sure you check out the Ubisoft store. By the way, I'm not sponsored by anyone, actually, no one these days. But yeah, I'm just mentioning it because it's something that you might be interested in going over and checking it out. And if you go over there, make sure you also use the code Legend23. Use that and you'll get even more off. I'll give you an example here of how much you can get something for. This is Far Cry 6 Deluxe Edition. It says $25. That's not true. So you enter the Legend 23 code right here, right? Enter that code, and you'll also get a free game. It's called Lake. I'm not sure exactly what this game's about, but I think it's a postal person who's going and delivering parcels. It's a very peaceful game, I believe, but you get this free gift with this particular game, and the game ends up being $13 Canadian. So that's what, $8, maybe $7 American? That's a great deal for Far Cry 6. Now, I have not purchased Far Cry 6. I've played all of the Far Cry games in the past. The series, I think, is getting a little boring, in my opinion. It's the same old thing over and over again. But if you want a game that you want to spend a lot of time in, Far Cry 6, from what I hear, is an amazing game for that, and this is an outstanding deal. So go over there. There's also all kinds of other bundles and things that you can get over there. You know, bang in the code Legend23, and you can get more and more money off of it. You also get these Ubisoft points here. You can collect those, and you can use those for like 20 or 30% discounts on a lot of things. Another game I should mention here that you probably should get if you don't have, I don't know if they have it in this list here or not, but Watch Dogs Legion is a good one for sure. Primal is also a good one, although I didn't like that game a whole lot. You know, and there's, the Assassin's Creed series as well. It doesn't look like it's in this list here, but Division 2, I think it's like $6 now or something. And that's an amazing game as well. So if you want to pick that up, you can. And if you're not aware, and there's so many new games that are being released these days, which is good. And there's so many, I guess you call them franchises, right? Gaming franchises like Crysis, like for example, which is good. Far Cry, Crysis 4 is a working title. I can't wait for this one. And as a matter of fact, speaking of time and a backlog of games and you can't get through them all, I have not gotten through playing Crysis 3 yet. Believe it or not, I have not. I got almost all the way through it, and then I didn't make it to the end. But, Crysis 3, and I think Crysis 3 has been remastered as well. If you want to pick that up, you can do so. But Crysis 4, that cryo suit, man, that was something, eh? That was just incredible. That's what kind of made the game just outstanding, that cryo suit. I suspect, they'll have that, and I don't know what engine they're using, probably Unreal 5. I don't know, but it seems like a lot of developers are using that engine. Who knows? But yeah. That's something to look forward to, definitely. Oh my gosh, really? You haven't gotten around to even playing the first Crysis game? Wow. You know what, though? Sometimes games are too old, right? And some of them, sometimes they won't run. Like, I wanted to play Sniper Elite 3. If you haven't played the Sniper Elite series, and this is an incredible game series as well, but Sniper Elite 3 could not get it to run on my system. I did play through it way back in the day. I wanted to just, dive into it again and see what it was like, but it wouldn't run at all on my computer system. So it was on Steam, wouldn't run. So once the game is really, really old, unless the developer refreshes it and remasters it or something, a good chance it probably won't run on your system anyway. Yeah, I mean, Game Passes, I have to say, I'll pass on a Game Pass. And the reason for this is it kind of forces you to always be playing games in a way, because you're paying money every single month and you feel like, well, you want to get the most out of that. And you're gaming all of the time, I mean, I game a lot, but I don't want to feel like, oh, I want to get all my money's worth. And but yeah, you're right. Game passes are great. I mean, whatever, whoever you're with, whether it be Microsoft or Amazon or. And by the way, I mentioned this in many shows, but there is a gem of a game that if you haven't played, make sure you play it. It literally, I think I don't know if I put it in the masterpiece category or not, but Mad Max. It's an open world game and it captures Mad Max to a T. It is just incredible game. You can pick that up for nothing, maybe $5. $5, you can get easily 50 to 100 hours out of the game, and it is captivating and riveting and great storyline and great gameplay. Just wow. Okay, yeah. If you have a family and kids and younger kids and stuff, a Game Pass is definitely the way to go. As a matter of fact, I did have back in the day a Game Pass for the Xbox with some co-op. Co-op on the Xbox is quite good. You get 3 or 4 controllers and you all sit down, and it's just quite enjoyable. Yeah, whatever you do, if you like open world games, whatever you do, make sure you devote some time to play Mad Max. And I pray that there will be another Mad Max game come out, and I pray that it will capture what this game captured, I believe it's on Steam. I'm not sure where I played it, but yeah, just search for, a Mad Max and you'll find it quite easily. Okay, so let's go on to the next thing here. Now this is this is pretty technical, and this is something that might be extremely good. It's regarding VRAM. So this is NVIDIA's new texture compression technology, and it could be the end of our VRAM worries, and this would be great because I'll use an example, Far Cry 6. If you download the texture pack, which is like, 40 gigabytes for that particular game, and if you don't have a video card that has over 12, I think it's over 12 gigabytes of memory, you could run into issues with, actually, the game really is so slow that you can't play it. So with this particular technology, which is NTC, called neutral texture compression, it uses neural networks to efficiently compress high resolution textures, achieving higher compression ratios while maintaining visual quality. By training a network to encode textures into compact representations, NTC reduces storage space and can reconstruct the original textures when needed. It is a valuable tool in computer graphics and rendering applications. Yeah, no kidding. So this will come into play whether you're, doing rendering processes or gaming or anything to do with graphics. So this could solve a lot of problems. And I think AI can be, AI is probably the reason why a lot of stuff is happening. DLSS, like for example, also this, this neutral texture compression. It's good because what it will do is you'll be able to, if you have only 10 gigabytes, like say for example, on your video card, and the game needs 12, if the game enables a technology like this, then you will be able to, play the game and have all these high, resolution HD textures enabled in the game. And I mean, why wouldn't you want to play it like that, right? Now, I have to say, I don't use DLSS because DLSS version 2, it's not so great. Version 3 I hear is better, but I don't know, it just doesn't look as good to me, and I don't find that the improvement is that much. Now, with DLSS version 2, I have a 3080, so I can't go to DLSS version 3, right? That's in the 4000 series video cards from NVIDIA. So, I'm kind of stuck with version 2. And like, for example, in Red Dead Redemption 2, they haven't really updated. Rockstar hasn't updated to the latest DLSS version 2 in that game. Now, you can, kind of mod it and stuff if you want to, but I don't want to do that. I want to kind of keep the game as stock as possible. So, yeah, so this is NVIDIA's new texture compression technology. And again, it could be the end of our memory worries for video cards. Just looking at some of the comments here. Yay, 3D Game Man podcast. Well, this is kind of, it's kind of everything, actually. It's a live show. It's a podcast, too, because I'm actually porting and pushing these to the podcast section as well. So you'll be able to listen to me ramble on and on and on for an hour plus every single Saturday. Well, yeah, I mean, speaking about my voice, how good it is, I don't know if that's the case or not, but I've got some filters here on OBS Studio, which gives it a little bit of more boost and more bass overall. However, I do think that my voice is pretty overall. I would say maybe, I don't know, more like a broadcaster's voice. I don't know. I mean, it's me talking about my own voice, so I don't know. But certainly, yeah, the mic technology and the filters and stuff that you can use these days. And something else with AI, right? And technology and things. What you see and what you hear these days, you don't know. Everything that you hear and everything that you see, take it with a grain of salt, because it might not be real. Anyone now can do deep fakes. So keep that in mind, please, and spread that, right? Tell it to other people. There's been people tricked by, like, for example, a mom thinking their son's calling and he's in trouble and it's not actually him. It sounds like him, but, someone deep faked his voice. So be very wary and careful about that. But that's, another bad side to AI and whatnot. But the good side is that, well, it can make you look younger. It can make you look prettier. It can make you sound better as well. Now, overall, aside from a few filters I have on OBS Studio, what you're seeing here in the image is me raw. I'm not using any blurring or effects or anything else, really. There's some visual effects here to make it appear a little bit better overall. But, that's it. That's all there is. So let's go on to the next thing here. Oh, this is about hard drives. Hard drives will be dead after 2028, says Pure Storage exec. Apparently, about 3% of the world's power consumption is due to data center operations. Roughly a third of that is storage. And almost all of that is the spinning mechanical disk. So this is what an exec from Pure Storage claims. This person also claims replacing hard drives with SSDs can reduce the power consumption by 80 to 90%. So this is another move to probably try and save the planet. I don't know really if it's a thing or not, but this is the way companies and governments are going, right? Maybe at a detriment to humanity overall. I don't know. But this costs a lot of money. Infrastructure will have to be replaced. And we all know that SSDs, solid state technology for storage, doesn't last as long as, a hard drive. As far as I understand, it doesn't last quite as long. So that's a problem too, right? Unless you have redundancies upon redundancies, right? And you replace SSDs over time to compensate for degradation. Yeah, well, it's one of those things where, we try to save the planet and we do it in such a way where we're hasty about it. And then we have to backtrack and go, well, that probably wasn't a good thing and it made it worse. But there's no harm in trying to make things more sustainable and more efficient. That's a good thing for sure. But don't make us all poor because of it, please, with carbon taxes and everything else. I still have a couple of hard drives, 2 terabyte drives. I've got 1 terabyte SSD, an M2 drive, and I've got still 2 regular 2 terabyte hard drives for backup. I've had them for years, and I mean years. The Western Digital drives, I normally go with Western Digital overall. I've had some Samsung drives in the past as well, but usually Western Digital, I find, for now at least, they are stellar and they last and they perform pretty well. But yeah. So we are getting to the end of the show, guys. And this is something silly for the end of the show here. I don't know if you heard about this or not, but Coldplay, the Scientist lyrics, were found on a Kingston SSD on actually the firmware for this particular drive. A security researcher actually discovered this. No explanation was really given, or I couldn't find anything about it anyway, why this was actually on there. But if you are not familiar with the Scientist song by Coldplay, play it. It's a good song. It's very good, It's a very good song. But why it was on there, I really have no idea. It's just one of those silly things, I suppose, that someone, did, right? But that's it. Anyway, you guys have anything else? Have any questions? You have any more comments before I wrap this show up here? It's a beautiful day here in Southern Ontario. It's 18 degrees by the looks of it, sunny outside. I'm going to go out today probably with my camera, take some pictures and video and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's a little, the Coldplay song, The Scientist, it's a little depressing for sure. It'll probably make you cry. But it's certainly an emotional song. And it's a song that a lot of people have redone, and yeah, definitely. I would play the song here, but they'd probably demonetize the video if I did that. Demonetization these days can happen for every reason under the sun. Back in the day, it was, well, you could, play a little section of a song and it would pass, but now, right, everyone wants peace, I suppose, and rightfully so. But I've had videos where I've had to go in and edit them on YouTube to take out, if I was, like, for example, demoing a audio, like a speaker or something, and and there was a song playing, they would demonetize the video for that. There's a whole bunch of other reasons, of course, why they demonetize videos, like, swearing and Hello, big fan from Australia. Loved your videos from back in the day. You were a pioneer. Well, thank you for that. And yes, I was. As far as I know, I was the first guy to start doing video reviews back, when was it? The year 2000? 22 years ago. I think it was like 5 years before YouTube started. And I produced them, uploaded them to RealGN. It was a company back in the day. And there was a, kind of like a sponsorship deal there going on. It worked. Then YouTube came along. And then I started uploading videos there. And then it caught on and everyone started doing video reviews. And now video reviews are commonplace and everyone's doing it. And to be honest, I mean, it's just saturated now with reviews. Every single person and their dog, they're doing video reviews. And that's one of the reasons why I don't have much of an interest in it anymore. One of the reasons. But the other reason is it's a heck of a lot of work. Put a lot of time into it. And these days, you really got to try and cheat the algorithm to get noticed. And usually that means paying for ads. So yeah, that's a good question as well. Chronometer here has a question. I have a question for the chat, if anyone doesn't mind answering it. Why did you join the live stream so late? Just trying to figure out why there are so few early on the live stream. That's a good question. I think it's because maybe it's a weekend and people are not up. They're sleeping in maybe till 12, 1 o'clock. I don't know. Or maybe, there's something special going on or something special you're doing on the weekend. But then again, it doesn't really matter. I mean, I will be chopping this video up. Not all of it. You're going to miss the context of it. And context is very important. Oh my goodness. Well, see, that's the other problem. Yeah, time zones. Duh. Yeah, if you're in a different part of the world, it could be extremely early here. Like it's 2:40 a.m. Woo, man. Well, see, there you go. So you're going to probably be sleeping in, right? The next day. So, and if you're up, people are up Friday nights too, right? They're up late. Maybe they're out partying and stuff, right? They're at a friend's place. They don't get home till 2 or 3 o'clock. Or maybe they work in the graveyard shift. Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing. I'm thinking that people don't realize that subscribing to a channel is not enough. If you just subscribe, you're not going to get notifications. You're not going to get any notifications. You will be in your subscription feed where you have to actually go in there to see what is coming up. But I don't understand why YouTube is doing this. You should just subscribe, and once you subscribe, it turns on the notifications, it turns on everything. Because for me, I am not going to subscribe to a channel that I don't want to get notifications from. It's just a mystery to me why that happens, but I think that's the main reason, though. I think people are just subscribing and they're thinking that, that's fine. That's just I'm going to, But irregardless, what I'm really loving these live shows, and there's a whole bunch of reasons why I do. Well, first of all, is interaction between myself and the community. You guys, right? You guys, right, are part of why I exist in a way, right? So I produce content. You guys watch it. You like it. You follow it. You share it. You comment. That's all a part of keeping everything going and everything alive. And the live shows kind of gives me a chance to communicate with you directly, and that is great. Like, It's a whole different dynamic than me just producing like content and just throwing it out there and having comments made. I mean, that's still a community for sure, but live shows is completely different. And also, of course, with this, I get the chance to chop it up and push it out there. Now, I'm just, for the most part, producing one video a day based upon this live stream. I could chop this up more and produce more videos based upon this particular live stream. But, then maybe there's too much content. I don't know. And also, of course, I have to, when I go through this and chop it up, I have to, use the video editor and, go through it and take out all the and the spaces and all the, I try to have them make, when you're trying to chop it up and fit it into a short for 60 seconds, my goodness, that is so difficult because, everything has to be so concise, and you have to get in there and chop it, chop. Yeah, that's the other problem. And I agree with this, right? Why aren't people in here and why don't they stay in here? Because you might get in, but you're not going to stay. So that's the other thing. Attention spans these days are gone. They're non-existent. Twitter, for example, is based on not having an attention span. Just post something. You can only post so much. TikTok, completely based off that. YouTube Shorts, completely based off that. I mean, if you produce... I'd say the majority of 60-second shorts, maybe people get through the first 10 seconds of it, and then that's it, because that's the stats that I'm seeing. First 10 or 20 seconds of a 60-second short, people are captivated. After that, don't matter what it is, they just drop off and go to the next video. So it's just like a constant influx of dopamine, like just every 30, 20 seconds, video after video after video after video after video. Now, I am guilty of that as well. If I don't like a video, I won't watch it. I'll just go through the first few seconds and go to the next one. However, where I am different is I will stay with that video and watch it to the end. Although sometimes I will speed it up, but I will stay with it and go through it to the end to see what they're talking about if I am actually interested in it. Yeah, called death scrolling. Attention spans have gotten atrocious. Like, I can't even tell you how atrocious attention spans have gotten. I see it. I see it out there. It's incredible. I mean, this is why TikTok exists, because of people's attention spans, right? It's that boost, that dopamine kind of like thing, like you get that hit, right? And that's what it's about. It's about, a continuous hit, and people love it. I mean, look at TikTok. As a matter of fact, I can get way more hits over on TikTok than on YouTube. Way more. You post a video sometimes and you get, 10,000 views in, I don't know, under a week or under a couple days. It depends on the video. But it's all about algorithms and what's popular. And, I don't really get on that train. Like, you can go and you can see what's, the popular word or the phrase, and then you can produce a video based upon that. And I'm not in it for all of this like hits and all this. I'm right now, at least I'm not anyway. I'm just doing what I'm doing, and I'm, like, for example, a lot of these polls are things that I'm interested in. A lot of these things that I'm talking about here at the end of the show, this stuff is stuff that pop up in my news feed throughout the week, and I think it's popular, or I think it's interesting and maybe popular as well, hopefully. Well, you know what? So do I, in a way. I miss the forums. And there's still lots of forums out there, though. Keep in mind, right? There's Reddit, Discord, right? So there are lots of forums still out there. They're in a different form, than probably they used to. I mean, I had a forum back in the day when there was forums. Remember bulletin board systems? Way back? That's kind of where all this came from, right? A community of people got together. And Instagram, and there's a lot of chat here. So there's a lot of communities. It just looks a little different these days. Yeah, I started doing these polls kind of like out of fluke. Polls, I've always statistics have always interested me, actually, and it's interesting to see. But then again, statistics can be biased. It depends on the forum you're in and who you're asking and all the rest of it. And they are here, no doubt about it, because the majority of people here are interested in technology, computers, probably more so in the PC world and all of that stuff, and gaming. So, it's a little bit on the bias side, but it's still interesting. It still creates a community. It still creates feedback. It still creates, and, people have different views than other people, right? So, hey, John, so you finally caught 3D Game Man live show. So if I can ask you, why have you not caught them in the past? I'm not, saying that in a negative way. I just want to figure out why. We're trying to figure out here as well, like, what's the reasoning behind it? Is it too early? It's the fact that people don't have any attention spans anymore. They can't watch a whole hour live show. I'm not sure. So I'm just curious. Because if I know why people aren't joining, then I can fix it or do something else or change it maybe to another day. Although this day works best for me, and this time kind of works best for me as well. Yeah, there's still some forums up there. You're right. Yeah, Reddit is a bit of a mess, but still, it's a great source for information. Great source. And the good thing about Reddit is that you can get feedback from a lot of real people, and that's invaluable. OC3D forum is still alive. Is hard OCP, is that still going on? Is that still up? I don't know. Yeah, well, I mean, the thing as well is that if you make this into a business, a big business, and you have money and you push a lot of money into it, you're going to get probably a lot of reward out of it. It's just a big, huge risk, and some people have the luxury of being able to take those massive financial risks, and sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't. So some channels have completely and totally exploded, while other channels have not. And that doesn't mean that the channel that has not and the channel that has really have much of a difference when it comes to content, right? Depends on what you're looking for, I suppose. A lot of people still say, well, why aren't you doing reviews? And you should get back into doing reviews. Well, I was the pioneer of doing it. I've done it. I've been there. I've done thousands of them. Kind of been there, done that. Had enough. Had my fill. And if you have a poll question, right? If you have a question that you think would be interesting, post it in one of the polls. And I usually get to all of the new comments because I have a thing set up here in YouTube Studio where I can monitor all of the new comments. And if I see, that you're asking a question, or you think that this question would be good for a poll, then I'll try and if I think it's good or appropriate, I'll probably make it to a poll. Yeah, just see on the weekends, people are, doing things around the house, probably, going out for groceries, trying to catch up on sleep. John still has this 100% kick-ass product shirt. Man, I made those shirts way, way too good, didn't I? They were good quality back in the day. I don't think that 100% kick-ass design would fly anymore, would it? That would be politically incorrect, maybe. Other reviewers talking about being exhausted. Yeah, it's exhausting. Reviews are exhausting, like exhausting. And I think other reviewers also will get to a point where they've had enough of it and that's it. They're going to be moving on and doing something else or getting someone else to do the reviews. Another person here joining. You're in another person from Australia. Oh, I have a lot of viewers from Australia. That's wonderful. Exactly, right? So, there's an example where someone invests heavily into something and the chance of the reward is it's a massive risk. Now, some people have a lot more financial capital. Maybe it's from their family or a family member, and they can do this, as a hobby, and then it turns into something else. But the majority of people out there these days can't. They need a regular job. They need regular income. They need to have that stability. And if you have that, then there isn't much time left, especially if you have a family, to do all this other hobby stuff. Because I can tell you, to do a good video review on any product, a good one, not 60-second shorts, a good product review probably will take you 5 to 30 hours. I've seen some of them in the big box stores, the organic LEDs, but they're expensive, and I really don't have any interest in getting one. I have 3 displays for now. I have 230s and I have 124. I have one of the 30s right in front of me, which is my main display, and one on my left and one on my right. The one on the left is a 30, the one on the right is a 24. They're all the same brand. They're all the same spec, so the colors throughout all 3 of them match. And, if maybe one of them dies, I'll get all new ones. I don't know. But, do I want to spend, $1,000 for a monitor? No. Am I going to? No. Well, what is my favorite PC case? I honestly, I wouldn't know because I've reviewed so many. That would be, it's impossible for me to answer that. And a lot of cases these days, I don't think there's anything real. There are special cases out there these days, although I haven't been following the PC case market as of late. But some of my favorite cases were from Lee & Lee. Hands down. All aluminum motherboard trays that you can remove, beautiful cases, different designs, a bit of a pioneer and a leader in the industry, in my opinion. But, Antec had some good ones. Silverstone had some good ones. Antec had some good ones, So Fractal Design as well had some good ones. But, the typical stuff. You're buying a case, buy one that you like, maybe get one with a window, get one with a bunch of fans that you can intake and exhaust air. Airflow is very important. Maybe one with filters. Doesn't have to be terribly expensive. Get something that has all of those things and you're good. And, if you're like me, you'll buy a case and you'll take the side panel off of it instantly. So... it's weird, right? You buy a case, expensive case with a nice window on the side, and then you just take it off after a while and let all that room cool air get right in there and let all the fans intake all that cool air directly on top of everything. An ideal setup, to be honest. If you're getting a system, by the way, at least get one that has an ALC cooler, a water cooler for the CPU. Ideally, the best situation would be one for the GPU and one for the CPU, but that's going to cost you major, major money. Yeah, the Corsair 800D. That was, I can't remember much, to be honest, about that case, because I did so many reviews on so many products. It gets all blurred. And what was a long time ago as well. I think the last video review that I did was in 2016. And I've only been back here, I think it's been a year. You lose track of time, especially when you get older. Yeah, I will continue to do some nature videos. I've got one now that I'm working on, video. I haven't finished producing it, but I'm not pressuring myself to do any of this stuff. I'm just kind of winging it and doing it as I'm going along because, well, this is just a hobby and something that it's completely different now what I'm doing than how it used to be, right? It's a whole different format. And, the thing is, I understand if you don't want to be subscribed or if you don't want to watch me or be here based upon what I'm doing now as opposed to what I was doing, then, fair enough. And I might get back into doing reviews. I don't know. It's possible. Yeah. Yeah, well, that's the other thing with a case that has a side panel that's glass, right? It's pretty easy to break them. Yeah, I did a few last year, right? The kayaking videos where I was out in the kayak, and I tend to go from hobby to hobby to hobby, and I've been canoeing and kayaking for a very, very long time, and I hope to do some of that this year as well. But it's kind of like if I'm out there and I feel like shooting a video, I'll do it. Otherwise, I won't. Yeah, some of these cases back in the day, they were massive, like just huge, absolutely massive cases. Extended ATX cases. My shortest lived hobby. Okay. I know. Poetry reading. That was my shortest hobby. There was a time there where I was actually standing up in front of people doing poetry, if you can believe it or not. And why did I do that? Well, sometimes you have to do things that make you completely and totally uncomfortable. And I think that was probably one of the main reasons why I did that. I don't know, but it really puts you out there. I've got a lot of hobbies. I mean, the more you have, I think, the better. It's something that you should try and have as many hobbies, healthy hobbies, as possible, because you can always draw upon those when you get older. You can have things to keep you occupied, and it's good for, I think, your mental and physical health. Gaming certainly is a hobby. Building computers is a hobby. Golfing is a hobby. Kayaking, right? Great hobby. Hiking, mountain biking, all hobbies. And they don't need to be expensive. Hobbies don't need to be expensive. Usually, though, you have usually it's $500 to $1,000 to get yourself into a hobby. Photography, another hobby that I've been into, well, since the beginning. And I shoot manually, all manual settings now. 3D printing. No, I haven't checked out 3D printing. I've been meaning to, and I might just do that, but I'm really waiting for the 3D printing machines to get stellar. And I don't know, I think they've kind of gotten stellar as of late, but no, not really. I mean, not so much. But interesting though, very interesting. Yeah, meditation. Yeah, of course. I'm not really into meditation. I'm not really into yoga. I'm not really into that kind of stuff. However, I think I am indirectly, because I can go out there, sit and relax in a kayak or on the top of a hill or the bottom of a hill or in a field, just chill, relax, smell the environment, see the environment, feel the environment. So that's, I think, kind of my way of meditating, I suppose. But, you know, people, I think, have different states of Zen, and mine is probably a little bit not so much in the popular vein these days. Like, you know, yoga is definitely in and meditation is definitely in, but I never really grew up doing all that stuff, and I found other ways to cope and other ways to, you know, to I guess, find peace, right? Well, photography isn't really cheaper than it used to be. Okay, let me be a bit more descriptive on that. But it depends on the camera that you buy. But any decent mirrorless camera right now is going to cost you anywhere from, okay, 15 to 5 grand. And, you know, if you get into expensive lenses, well, you know, you're talking a heck of a lot of money. So, but a lot of the mirrorless cameras, I mean, I have a Canon R7. I mean, overall, I think that's the best bang for the buck camera that hands down you can get right now in the market. Fast, quick, you know, the lenses you can get for it are pretty good. You can buy the stock kit, you know, decent overall camera. The battery lasts forever. I mean, I actually left the R7 on last night because I did this setup, like what you're seeing right here, last night, and I forgot to turn the camera off. This is the R7. I had it plugged in, right? It didn't overheat. This was over, 12 hours ago. And I went to check the camera this morning before I started the live show, and I'm like, oh my God, the camera is still on. But this R7 overall will not get hot unless it's in, you know, a really hot environment or something. But you can run this thing. This is a workhorse. There's no doubt about it. And you can do everything from portrait to wildlife photography with the R7. So if you're thinking about a camera, it's not what you call super cheap, but, you know, overall, it's a pretty decent camera. And everything I purchase, I research the heck out of it first before I go ahead and pull the trigger on it. But I mean, you don't need to spend expensive camera, right? You can use your phone. You can put your phone into manual settings if you want to, and experiment with the aperture and the shutter and the ISO and the exposure and the white balance and all that other stuff. And you know, you can also buy used camera equipment, used lenses and used bodies, and you can do it that way. But even the new cameras, you know, to get really good shots, good camera body, a good lens, it still takes a lot of work to, you know, get that perfect shot. And when you see pictures like, for example, of wildlife where a photographer captures a bird flying in midair, maybe an eagle that just grabbed a fish out of the water, and it's a perfect crystal clear shot. There's two things. It's certainly professionalism, knowing how to take the shot, what time of day, you know, all your settings and shutter speeds and blah, blah, blah. But also it has a lot to do with luck. A lot to do with luck, you know, and burst mode is definitely, burst mode is definitely something that you want to be using if you're taking pictures out there of birds, like let's say, for example. Because, you know, burst mode, you can take maybe 30 shots of the same thing, and maybe only one of them is perfect. And I've had many situations where that's the case. One of them is dead on, everything else is garbage, but thank God you had that one shot. That was good. Anyway, I think I'm going to wrap this up. This show went on a lot longer than most, which is fine, which is great. I'm probably going to go out there and enjoy the day with my camera. I'm probably going to play some more Breakpoint today. Been really enjoying that game, and I've been posting some videos about that as well. It's I think the reason why I like it so much is that I have to figure out how to go in and tackle, you know, a mission or an enemy, and it's at your own pace and it's relaxing until you get in there and have to deal with all of the enemies. But it's a great game. Yep. So I'll just go through a few things here before I exit. Remember to subscribe, hit the notification bell, very important. Like, share, and follow. Consider becoming a Patreon. All these links are here at the top right-hand corner, youtube.com/3dgameman. You can give me a super thanks if you would like. Also, you can purchase a t-shirt, and let me just pop this lovely t-shirt up here. I know a lot of you still have probably a t-shirt from me from way back in the day, but you can go ahead and purchase another one if you would like. So I just said thanks for the stream. You're welcome. I've enjoyed it. And I guess I will see all of you, or some of you at least, next Saturday, which is, what is that? The 20th of May. So I will see you then. I think that's a long weekend. So, I might have to reschedule another day. I don't know, but you can monitor when I post the next live show coming up. Have a good day, everyone, and I will see you in the upcoming show. Take care and be well.